Preseason game number 3. Starters are going to play deep, and Patrick Mahomes is going to show you what he's ready for today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. This is Locked On Chiefs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and that means your team every single day on every platform, everywhere, on YouTube, on audio, every place you can get a podcast, you can get us for free all the time. The everydayers, they know that. And you guys that are here every day, we appreciate it. And that's going to mean that you can get that much more. If you want to take the next step, you can get on the text line at 816-357-8781. We're getting ready for the culmination. And this year, it really is a culmination of the preseason. And I think that's great. The starters have to be prepared. Andy talked about it earlier in the week. We're going to cover what this week is about right now that is very different than years past. Later in the show, we will wrap it up with some guys that could stand out and could really form the passage of what comes next, including some running backs that you might be looking to acquire here. Before that, the Skyless wide receivers and their options all have to keep pressing. Skyy has been traded. We'll deal with that a little bit as well. And we start where we start with the starters and the guys that are going to be on there, and it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be Travis Kelce. I thought it was very smart and very keen of Andy Reid to not give anything away and not divulge what he thinks he's going to do or how long they're going to be out there. They got to get tuned up. And I think when he admitted that the 3-game preseason has now changed his perspective about how you get rolling and hit the ground in week 1, I think that says a whole lot. And I don't know that there's many other teams around this league that are really feeling that way. They might now that he's heard my Andy Reid say it, but I thought it was a good insight into the fact that they're always looking for every single little edge, and maybe they have to undo things of 20 years plus.
It's interesting to me because, it goes against what he's done for 20 years. And it's not like it's not like this is brand new. Like, this isn't the first year they've had 3 preseason games. It's a little bit different than it has been in the past. And it sounds like this doesn't really even have anything to do with Brazil. Whether or not that's actually accurate, we will never know. But, looking at this from the outside, it's like, okay, well, Andy Reid has this, the one job is to get their team ready for the first regular season game. However you can do that, the best way you can do that, that's his main job, and that's exactly what he's focused on. And this is a different way of going about it. And I do think that regardless of whether or not Reid has said it, I do think that playing the Chargers week 1 probably has something to do with it because it's a divisional game. And because if it's anybody else other than the Chargers, it's probably not an issue. I don't know. It's interesting that he's changing it, and I do think it's going to be good for this team. I think that it's curious because you look around the NFL and you have another team that is challenging for the AFC in Buffalo that's not going to play their starting quarterback at all in the preseason. First time ever, Josh Allen isn't going to play in the preseason.
I don't have a problem with that either. Like, if Pat never played, I'm okay with that. If Kelce never plays in the preseason, I'm okay with that. But the whole other group, I think you need that. I think Chris Jones is a rhythmic player, so I'm not trying to single Chris out as to be lesser a star than those guys. But I do feel like he gets into a rhythm a little bit more, and that's part of his game. So I like that Chris Jones is going to play. We'll see if Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill are both out there for any significant snaps. It comes back to, if you're a starter, this is your last opportunity for a prolonged time to get some actual competition. And that's what's really important. So we have to give them every chance that we can get. And maybe that comes with a little risk. It's in the back of my mind. Is it in yours?
It is in the back of my mind, and especially with some of the players that are going to be playing, specifically Hollywood Brown. I mean, that's one where he has been consistently injured, and now he's going to be 2 weeks away from playing his first regular season game this year for Kansas City. And with his history, I mean, he had an ankle injury that he's been dealing with. Whether or not he actually plays, it sounds like he should. We'll see, but that one's a little concerning to me. And then you look at the rest of it, it's just, you're so close to the regular season at this point. It's just different. But if you go back and you think about it, 3 weeks is a long time for a team to be off. It's a very long time. Like, you can't even compare it to the Super Bowl break
Right.
because it's an extra week. So this is almost like they're setting up for a Super Bowl type break, like where you're going from the AFC Championship game to the Super Bowl, because it's going to be a 2-week period where these guys aren't going to play. And I know it's not going to be a full game, but it still gives them some activity and gets them out there. And hopefully they can work on some things and show us a little bit more than what we've already seen, which hasn't been a ton.
Yeah, and it's I think a little bit more on the offense because the defense was so decimated with no one leading anywhere. The leaders at every level were out last week, so I think there's a little bit more to be gained on the defensive side. But for that unit in particular, they're dealing with some injuries as well. So I don't know if Christian Fulton's going to play. Andy hasn't been very specific about it. I don't know if Jalen Watson is going to play. You would hope that you would get the two of them together with Trent McDuffie out there in the secondary to kind of just get a feel for each other, because Fulton's gotten 4.5 seconds in practice.
Yeah. And that's a concern. And he's going to be going up. The nice thing is you have to feel like their first matchup, while Ladd McConkey is somebody that I'd be worried about as a wide receiver, the rest of the Chargers wide receivers probably aren't as scary. Keenan Allen is a lot older than he was the last time he was in with Los Angeles. And Quentin Johnston, he is a big body wide receiver, but he hasn't really shown up like I thought he was going to coming out of college. So I think that you feel pretty decent about going up against them week 1, but it's still a concern. And you're sitting here in a situation where your starting trio of corners hasn't got any actual live snaps on a football field together, and they still may not.
Yeah. It is perfectly possible that they may not play a single snap together. I hope that they do, just to get that feel. Maybe it's just a series. We'll see how long the starters go. I think we also want to make sure that we see every bit that we can of Josh Simmons and Kingsley Suamataia together. Kingsley's just had a rough road. He has not adapted as well to the pass set inside as he has the run set, which I do think he is performing pretty well at. But he's only had 21 snaps. To this point, 21 snaps. That's not enough. So I hope that they let at least the line go a little bit longer. I think it helps Gardner Minshew. I think it certainly helps them, and that in return will help Patrick Mahomes.
Well, and they need to get them on the same page. They need to have Josh Simmons and they need to have Kingsley Suamataia on the same page and ready to go for week 1 against the Chargers, because the Chargers are going to be testing that duo specifically. They're not going to focus on the right-hand side. They know what's on the right-hand side. They're going to attack the rookie and a second-year guy that basically got benched last year because he wasn't playing well enough. That's who they're going to attack, and they need to be ready for it. So getting all the snaps they can, getting all the chemistry and all the line calls and everything else figured out that they can over the next, for this game and over the next 2 weeks is extremely important.
And it's going to be at the forefront. And to do that, you have to make sure that you have the right players on the field. It's trade season. Everything's going crazy, and the Chiefs are skyless at this point. So does Brownlee step up? Does Thornton solidify anything? Can Nico Remigio do anything to make this roster? Yes, he can. That's next. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy, and it's the best time of the year because the NFL kickoff is almost here, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. This year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me and Locked On Chiefs are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, so you should too. Whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league, you can get into it. My main league is over 20 years old, and it's been on Yahoo forever. Make sure you check this out, because to celebrate their 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over the 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped the Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated from the league each week until there's only one left standing. And this season, it's just around the corner. Now's the time to get your league together and give it a try in a new mode, whether it's one of the classics, this guillotine, or head-to-head, or you can just join a normal public league like you have in the past. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. As we take a look at who's going to be in at the wide receiver position, one that we want to see progression from for all the reasons, for the Hollywood injury, for the actual injury news, we want to see as much as we can. Skyy Moore trade came down. You put it out right away on the text line and onto our shorts. I was a bit surprised that it happened as early, but I think it's a good thing for everyone because he needed to get a reset. He clearly was not in this conversation we're about to have about who can stand out in the wide receiver spot. And now the fledgling 49ers that he's played and had some success against have a wide receiver that they can utilize, I think, in a way similarly to Deebo Samuel. I think that's what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. With the ball in his hands, maybe on some of those pop passes, some of those handoffs, some things that the Chiefs like sort of looked at but never did. Overall, what do you think the value is that the Chiefs got for it, though?
I mean, it's a 6th-round pick in 2027, so it's not even this coming draft. So
you gave up your 7th, right? So you just moved up is all.
Right. You're just moving up around. So you got value. I mean, you got something out of it. He had no chance of making his roster. He's not going to make it as a kick returner here because they already have one that they like better in Nico. And honestly, I'm not so sure that they wouldn't put Tyquan Thornton back there as a returner before Skyy Moore because they want Thornton on the roster. So to me, it made sense that you made the trade because you're not going to get anything for him, and you got rid of him off the roster, and you got something back for having him on the roster for as long as you did, and you got rid of the salary. So, I mean, it's not a lot, but it's at least something. His salary cap number was what, $2 million this year. So
2.3, I want to say. Is it 2 even?
It's $2 million, 2.05.
Okay, it's even cheaper than I thought.
And I think based on the way this works, since he was traded, it will only cost him like $500,000. I'm double checking on that. We can go on and talk, but
that's fine. I was a little disappointed. Like I would have liked to have gotten an additional pick, like the move up around, and you got to feel like the 49ers are probably not as competitive as they were a year ago. Certainly with this wide receiver situation, you never know if Christian McCaffrey is going to stay healthy, but that pick is going to be in the 20s is my guess of that round. And so I would like to have seen an additional rather than a swap, but at this point, anything that you can garner from a player that you were about to cut, and I do believe that that's what was going to happen, had to happen. Now that leaves room for a lot less innuendo. Badger probably destined for the practice squad. McNamara maybe destined as well, right?
You bring up an interesting point, and this is where things really shift with this roster. We talked a ton about how this is going to affect the starters. What we haven't talked about is how this affects everybody at the bottom of the roster. Because generally speaking, this game is where they get all of their playing time. And that's not going to be the case in this one. I'm not so sure that you're even going to see much of the third and fourth string in the third and fourth quarter, because Kansas City could be looking at this saying, this is our best chance to get all of our players ready for week 1. We need the first team to go out and play. I don't know how late they're going to play, maybe the second quarter. And then the second team is going to have to go out and play for a second, maybe part of the third quarter. We'll see what they do. We have no way of knowing what Andy Reid's going to do in this situation because this is brand new for him. But it'll be something to watch. Is the second team out there till the third quarter, and then you're not getting these young guys that normally would be playing in this game a lot of time at the very end of the game.
It could even be longer than that. You never know. Like the goal is anywhere from 2 drives to the whole first half, right? So right. The twos don't get in until the second half. I mean, and we're talking about a specific group, right? Because we feel like Hollywood Brown's going to play, but it's probably not going to be an overwhelming volume, right? It should be pretty quick. So that means one of your twos is coming up a little quicker. Jalen Royals, he's missed some practice. Don't know if he's going to play.
He's not
squarely
playing
on this roster. Did they announce? Okay, so squarely on this roster doesn't matter, right? Juju and then the Magic 3 in Nico, Tyquan, who I believe is already on the roster, and Jason Brown. They're all going to compete. They might be out there until halftime, maybe past halftime, to try to see what else you got. And then everyone else that's striving might get in mid-third quarter.
Yeah. And you're going to see Worthy and you're going to see Rice, and they'll be there early in the game. I bet they come out when Pat does, and I don't think you'll see much of Tyquan Thornton after Patrick Mahomes comes out. That would be my guess, because I think he's squarely on this roster. But you're going to see Brownlee. You're going to see Nico Remigio. You're going to see those guys. And I do want to say this. I know you mentioned him, and we're not really talking about him specifically, but Juju Smith-Schuster has looked good this camp and this preseason. I think he's going to have a better year than most people would have expected. And I do want to say really quick, I know we talked about him not making the roster potentially for Tyquan Thornton. That thought's not in my mind anymore. He's looked better this year than he has in the past, and I do think that he looks like he can add something to this roster. So I just want to throw that out there. But you're right. These young guys, Badger, Magdalena, Presley, all of them, good luck getting time until the second half. And maybe you have 2 drives. Maybe you have 3 drives. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
And better hope Bailey pulled his head out, because that's who's going to be throwing you the ball, right?
Yeah.
And I will say, for the record, I always had Juju on this roster. He is the number 4. He's not even the number 5 right now, as far as I can tell, because you cannot put that on Royals right now.
Yeah, but to be clear, I think the reason I said that he may not make the roster is because he looked like he had slowed down each year that he'd been here. That doesn't seem to be the case this year. He's come in better shape and looks like he's in better physical condition than he has in years. So, I think there's a good chance that he has a much bigger year than anybody was expecting, especially with the suspension of Rashee Rice.
Yeah. Now, trade season is not just about wide receivers. There's defensive linemen moving around the league. The Chiefs missed out on one from Minnesota that I'm a little disappointed in. But it's not over. There are still trades to be made. There's still cuts to be made. I think this is critical right now for both Brashard Smith and Elijah Mitchell, or else this is going to happen coming up next. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. These days, it feels like everything from cold plunges to gratitude journals to screen detoxes are actually finding what works for you is the hard part. So with so much information about mental health and wellness out there, it can be overwhelming to figure out exactly what's true and what's actually help. That's where talking to a licensed therapist comes in, and BetterHelp can make all the difference for you. You get real personalized guidance instead of just guessing based on something you saw on social media. It definitely helps, especially when things get hectic. New school year, everything's starting to feel like it's coming back down upon you. This is the time to get with someone that can help you get through that. There's over 30,000 therapists for BetterHelp. It's the world's largest online therapy platform, serving more than 5 million people. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners are getting 10% off of their first month. It's over at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp.com/lockedon. Lot of news. You can find what we think about some of the other teams and other aspects of this league over at our other outlets. Chris is over at KC Chiefs Corner. I'm at NFL33.com and RGRfootball.com. We would appreciate you checking those out as well. And that is to say that you never know what's going to happen. And it's starting to heat up on the trade circuit. Skyy is not the only one that has moved. Other receivers have moved, including Vele from Denver. All kinds of stuff going on. But this is the big question mark. Brashard Smith showed a little bit of pop. He actually was able to pass block once pretty good. Don't know if that's replicatable. I would hope that it's repeatable. We'll find out. Elijah Mitchell has not shown much. I believe right now Carson Steele is on this roster, at least initially, by default because of those two. I do think Brashard Smith should get there as long as he performs well, but there's no reason not to add another. The rumor swirling right now is around the possibility that Brian Robinson might get traded, might just get flat out cut. And I'm rooting for the latter because I think that gives the Chiefs the advantage. I don't have to want to trade for a running back, but they could use it. What do you feel about Robinson, and what do you feel about how the Chiefs might or might not be in it right now?
Well, they're going to have to trade for him if they're going to get him, because I don't think there's any chance that he hits the waiver wire and lasts to Kansas City. So we'll see. I'm curious to see whether or not they're able to go out and get him and if they really have interest in it, because the reality of getting a guy like that is you're going to be bringing him in and he's going to be pushing Isaiah Pacheco for a starting role. Like, that's just the reality of it. And I'm not saying that you don't want that, and that's not good, but it's not like you're bringing him in here to be a Elijah Mitchell-esque type back and just a backup of some sort.
Right.
So to me, it's one of those things where if you're going to go out and get a guy like that, he's going to challenge Isaiah Pacheco, and you could have a 1-2 punch at that running back position that they haven't had in I don't know how long.
And that would be ideal for the Chiefs. And you're right. I missed, for some reason, I thought he had 4 accrued seasons under his belt. He only has 3. So that is why he would be scheduled for waivers. So, yeah, they're going to have to do that. But that 1-2 punch, having 2 players that you feel are starter level, I don't know that anybody feels that Kareem is at this point. Kareem is a specific duty and needs to be in a committee, in my opinion, as does Smith for now. So I think it would cost it would certainly cost Elijah Mitchell his spot if they did that. It could cost Carson as well. We'll see what the tight end situation becomes. But I have trouble seeing them carrying 5 backs of any kind, full or otherwise.
Yeah, and I wonder, there's a lot of people speculating it could cost Brashard Smith his job. And it's a question of not necessarily it costs him his job before final cutdown day, but we talked with Matt the other day about how you can do some veteran moves and you can say, hey, we're going to cut you for a day. We'll bring you right back tomorrow, but we just need the roster spot for a day. And Brashard Smith could be a guy that they send back to the practice squad after the final cuts. I mean, that's possible. We'll see, because the reality is you have to be in a position, if you're going to keep Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, you have to have somebody there that can actually function and be a third running back. And right now, Smith isn't going to be that guy.
Yep.
So you would feel like it would have to be Carson Steele, but if, I don't know. It's an interesting position to be in because they have a starter level running back in Pacheco, though he struggles with certain things that really limit what this Chiefs team can do in the run game. And there's other guys that are out there that are potentially out there on the that could be on the radar as well. Breece Hall, I've heard him talked about. That would be I would be jumping up and down if they could find a way to get Breece Hall in Kansas City for this season.
The interesting thing about both those guys, these guys that we were talking about being possible acquisitions, that they both run outside zone extremely well. Breece Hall can get there. He can see it. He knows the cutbacks. Brian Robinson can accelerate out of it. We've seen him do it in Washington. Like they both are fits in terms of the scheme that the Chiefs rely on, maybe more so than the backs that they have currently, all except for Smith. So there is a desire there.
And I'm a little biased because Breece Hall's from my hometown. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, that helps too. And Breece Hall is a guy that, again, must be in a committee. I don't think his body, he has proven that. I don't think his body can hold up to being a bell cow in this league. It's just not there. And that's okay.
Most running backs can't.
Exactly. So use him for what he is, and he's got a gear above Pacheco, in my opinion, even though Pacheco timed, I think, better on his testing. But I think in practice, if Hall is healthy, that's a nice addition as well. For those asking about Tyler Algier, it's just more of the same. Tyler doesn't give you more acceleration or more high-end speed than any of the backs that are on here right now. So I don't know that there would be interest there. How do you feel about Algier?
I don't really see it. I will say that if they're going to go make a move, if this is their way of trying to make a splash at running back, go make a splash by going and getting a guy like Algier, who I don't think is going to push Pacheco or Kareem Hunt, to be quite honest. Agreed. He's going to be a third running back, and okay, fine, you have a third running back, but you want to have more in that running back room. You're going to go out and you're going to trade for a better running back. And I don't know. It'll be real interesting to see if a deal gets done for Kansas City. And I could be completely wrong. They could go and they could be looking for another Elijah Mitchell type runner. And what I mean by that is a guy that's going to be coming in and being like a third down back or a speed back or something of that sort. They could be looking for that. I just don't see the value there when you have some of these other guys that are specifically being talked about as being available. I would think you'd want to really improve your running game, because if you think about it, if you're to add a Breece Hall or a Robinson or Brian to this team, you were in a situation where you have Pacheco, Hunt, and one of those two. That is a formidable running back room, and you can literally run the ball a lot more than you've been able to do in the past. There is a huge value in that, especially for the length of the season and for the playoffs.
I will tell you.
And I know you love the running game, so I know you love the thought of being able to run it more. But
right, but that's exactly why I sigh, because I don't know that even with all that the play call will reflect that possibility. I just don't know that I can bank that.
I guess the way I look at it is that I don't think that Pacheco has given them the ability to run the ball efficiently when they need to run the ball efficiently. And having the three-headed monster of those three specifically, you have a guy that can be your short yardage and goal line back and Kareem Hunt. And then you have two different style of runners that you can, use at different times in the football game to kind of change things up. So I do think that there is value in having that. I agree. Play calling is the question mark, but the other part of this and the thing that they've been trying to do all offseason is push the ball deep. If you're able to get the safeties to drop and you're able to push the ball deep, you're going to be able to run the ball a lot easier.
Yeah, that is the whole plan, and I would love to see it. But that said, who can help you with that? It puts some pressure on the corners. Chiefs have pressure on their corners as well. I think Noel Williams is going to play. He's back at practice. It seems like that should be a no-brainer. I don't think Najee Johnson is. And so that brings up, like they used to famously say at the Beaumont Club 20-plus years ago, if you were there in the early 2s and 2010s, you know what I'm talking about. It is the last chance to dance, folks, for Joshua Williams. He has got to pick it up right here. This is it. If he can show out, they may need him. He may make this roster by default because of the injury situation, because you just don't know. The starting three will be one thing. It'll almost be as interesting to see what happens in the third and fourth quarter to see what Joshua does when he does get it.
Yeah, that's a great question because this is his last chance. He's got to go. And the reality is it's not just his last chance for the Chiefs. And I guess I shouldn't say last chance when I talk about the rest of the NFL, but it's one of those things where if he doesn't go out and show out, then he's not going to get they're not going to be able to get a great trade offer if they're wanting to get rid of him. I cannot imagine that there's any way that he is on this roster, that he is not on this roster, and it was because he was cut. If I think he's going to be traded, it's just the question of how much value is the NFL going to give on somebody his size, and do they think they can make him into something? He's going to be traded at some point if he's not on this roster. I can't see them cutting him. I could be wrong, but with corners in the NFL, it's almost to the point of where you're at with offensive linemen as well. Corners are such a rarity. You're going to trade away a pick if you think that there's somebody that can play.
Absolutely.
Period.
There's nothing to lose at this point, right? You can worry about next draft. You got a season to play right now. We'd love to know what you guys think of these players. Anybody else that you think has to stand out this game after the starters get their druthers and get into the rhythm.
Give me two people. Who are you looking forward to watching the most?
Isapole, right off the top. All the starters in the positions that we know we need to depend on. And I want to see if any of the backup defensive linemen can do anything. Because right now, Omar Norman-Lott being held out, I don't know if they've announced, but I don't think he's going to play. You got to find options there because you missed out on Harrison. I just up to my neck between Colin Saunders and Harrison getting traded, not coming to Kansas City. I'm fed up. So you have to find defensive players in the interior that can actually contribute. Could it be Fabian Lovett? Could it be Izzard? I don't know. I feel like Fabian started to come on a little bit. They gave Marlon a whole lot of run. He is like the bigger man, the bigger one tech. But somebody's got to stand out. So those are the two that I'll be watching. What about you?
Man, I want to see something from Wiley. I want to see if Jared Wiley can do anything. I still think he's dealing with the injury, and I don't think that you're going to see much. But I'd love to see something from Jared Wiley. And quite frankly, I know we've talked about the starters. I want to see Mahomes do a deep ball. I don't care who it's to. I don't care if it's to Worthy. I don't care if it's to Tyquan Thornton. I don't care. I just want to see him attack because he hasn't had a chance. The first game, he literally had two passes that traveled a total of 10 yards between the two of them, it seems like.
Yeah.
So I want to see I want to see a deep shot. And, the other thing, when I sit here and look at this, I think that I think there's a defensive tackle that's not on this roster right now that will be back that is a former Chief and is likely to be cut by his current team.
I cannot disagree. We're going to have post game for you, so don't be late. Don't miss us. We'll have Matt Derrick. We are going to do as much as we can after the presser, so make sure that you were here. Bookmark it, do the thing. We'll get it set up so that you can be with us, and we're going to give you the instant breakdown as we get ready for the next few days, which will consist of wondering about what the cuts are. Maybe they'll leak some out early. They have done that in the past. We'll see how much that they get to, but you don't want to miss any of it, so make sure that you subscribe right now here on YouTube and go ahead and click and get over on the audio platforms in case you're in the car or something like that. You can get it all the time, everywhere for free. Do not miss us. We appreciate you. Be ready for preseason game number 3, and we'll talk to you post-game.